Good morning, students. Hope you're having a good day. We're going to go ahead and get started today with lesson 4. Our objective for today is I can identify equivalent ratios. When given a ratio, I can use tape diagrams and a description of equivalent ratios to determine if two ratios are equivalent. Okay, so today we're going to be using tape diagrams like we've done before. Okay, and then we're going to do a thing called the description of equivalent ratios, which I'll show you in a second, okay, to determine if two ratios are equivalent, okay, and that's what we'll be doing today. So let's move on. Example 1 tells us, the morning announcement said that 2 out of every 7 6th grade students in the school have an overdue library book. Jasmine said, that would mean 24 of us have overdue books. Grace argued, no way. That is way too high. How can you determine who is right? Well, let's read that carefully again. Okay, we need to find some keywords and try to figure out what's the ratio that we're dealing with. The morning announcement said that 2 out of every 7, okay, that is the ratio that we'll be dealing with. 2 out of every 7, which is 2 to 7, okay? 6th grade students in the school have an overdue library book. Jasmine said that would mean 24 of us have overdue books. So this would be the second ratio, 24, and we do not know the second number in the second ratio yet, but we will, okay? And that would mean 24 of us have overdue books. Grace argued, no way, that is way too high. How can you determine who is right? So to determine who would be right, we would need to know the total number of students, okay? And we're going to have to figure that out looking at both of these ratios, okay? So looking at the 2 and the 24, both of those numbers correspond. So what do I have to do to 2 to get 24? What do I do to 2 to get 24? I multiply it by 12. So what I do to the 2, I have to do to the 7, okay? I multiply that by 12, okay? 7 times 12 equals 84, okay? And so now 2 to 7 is an equivalent ratio to 24 to 84, okay? 24 students had overdue books out of 84 total students, okay? Let's move on. So, exercise 1 tells us, decide whether or not each of the following pairs of ratios is equivalent. If the ratios are not equivalent, find a ratio that is equivalent to the first ratio. If the ratios are equivalent, identify the non-zero number C. C is just a number that you're multiplying both of them to get the equivalent ratio. So in this case, C would be 12, okay? That could be used to multiply each number of the first ratio by in order to get the numbers of the second ratio. Okay, so take some time, look at letter A, 6 to 11 and 42 to 88. Take a few minutes, pause the video, and try to figure out to see if those two ratios are equivalent. Go. You should have paused your video and try to figure out if those two are equivalent. If you said that they were not equivalent, okay, if they were not equivalent, you were correct, okay? So we look at both of these. What do I have to do to 6 to get to 7? Or what do I have to get to 6 to get a 42? We multiply it by 7. So 11 times 7 would not be 88. It would be 77, okay? So this is not equivalent, okay? An equivalent ratio would be 42 to 77 because 11 times 7 would be 77, okay? So those were not equivalent because we were not multiplying both numbers by the same number, okay? Now look at letter B, okay? 0 to 5 and 0 to 20. I need to figure out if these two are equivalent, okay? So let's not worry about the zeros first. Let's look at the 5 and the 20. What do I have to do to 5 to get 20? Well, I multiply it by 4. Well, is 0 times 4 0? Yes, it is. Anything times 0 equals 0. Okay, so the rule still states we multiplied both of them by the same number, so they are equivalent. Yes, they are. And the C equals 4. Okay, let's move on. Exercise 2 tells us, in a bag of mixed walnuts and cashews, the ratio of the number of walnuts to the number of cashews is 5 to 6. So walnuts to cashews is 5 to 6. Determine the number of walnuts that are in the bag if there are 54 cashews. Use tape diagrams to support your work. Okay, so now we're going to use tape diagrams. I'm going to label each one. Walnuts, cashews. Okay, I'm going to make 5 units for the walnuts and 6 for the cashews. Okay, so it is telling us that there are 54 cashews in this bag. So all these 6 units equal 54. I need to figure out what's going to go in each of these units. Okay, take some time, try to figure that out. Pause the video for a minute or two, and then start it back up. So you should have taken the time to try to figure out what is going to go in each of the cashews units, each of the 6 units. We have 6 units here. Okay, so we had to do 54 divided by 6, okay, which is 9. So I'm going to put 9 in each unit. Okay, so now if the walnuts only had 5 units and there's 9 in each unit, how many walnuts are there going to be? 45, because 9 times 5 equals 45. Okay, it says justify your answer by showing that the new ratio you created of the numbers of walnuts to the number of cashews is equivalent to 5 to 6. So I have 5 to 6 and 45 to 54. Okay, what times 5 equals 45? It's 9. What times 6 equals 54? It's also 9. So these are equivalent. Alright guys, the lesson summary, I'm going to focus on the second part here. Okay. Ratios are equivalent if there is a positive number that can be multiplied by both quantities in one ratio to equal the corresponding quantities in the second ratio. This description can be used to determine whether 2 ratios are equivalent. So when on an assignment, if it's asking you for the description of equivalent ratios, I want to see this, okay? And if it asks you for a diagram, I want to see a tape diagram, and I want to see or I want to see a table, okay? So we're going to go over the problem set together real quick, and then I'm going to send you the exit ticket for you guys to do. Okay, so number 1 says, using diagrams or the description of equivalent ratios, show that the ratios 2 to 3, 4 to 6, and 8 to 12 are equivalent. Okay, so I'm going to write down 2 to 3, 4 to 6, and 8 to 12. Okay, what do I have to do to 2 to get 4? Multiply by 2. What do I have to do to 3 to get 6? Multiply by 2. What do I have to do to 4 to get 8? Multiply by 2. What do I have to do to 6 to get 12? I multiply by 2. Okay? So these are all equivalent. Another thing you could have done is just made a simple table. 2 to 3, 4 to 6, 8 to 12. Okay? Those are all equivalent. That was number 1. Okay? Number 2. Prove that 3 to 8 is equivalent to 12 to 32. Use diagrams to support your answer. Okay? One diagram I'm going to do is a table. 3 to 8, 6 to 24, 6 to 16, now 9 to 24, and 12 to 32. Okay, so that shows that they are equivalent. Okay, use the description of ratios to support your answer. So I have 3 to 8, 12 to 32, 3 times, what times 3 equals 12? It is 4. So 8 times 4 has to equal 32, which it does. So that shows that it is equivalent. Okay. Now, number 3 in a different color. The ratio of Isabella's money to Shane's money is 3 to 11. Okay? 3 to 11. If Isabella has $33, how much money does Shane and Isabella have together? Use diagrams to illustrate your answer. So I'm going to use tape diagrams. Okay? Isabella is the 3. Shane is the 11. So I'm going to make one with 3. And one with 11. That's not what I wanted. Okay. Good. So these 3 units have to equal $33 because that's how much money Isabella has. So what's going to go in each unit? 11. So 11 is going to go in each of Shane's 11 units. And if we do the math, 11 times 11 equals 121. Okay, so the new ratio is 3 to 11 is equal to 33 to 121. But it's asking us, how much money does Shane and Isabella have together? Okay, how much money do they have together? Well, all we need to do is just add 121 to 33. And she has $154. All right, guys, I hope this made sense to you. If it didn't, watch the video again, take some time, pause it when you need to. I'm going to send you the exit ticket. It is a 1-problem exit ticket. Try to get that figured out, turn it in, and we will go from there. I hope you have a great day, continue learning, and I hope everything's working out. If you have any questions, let me know. Have a great day. See ya.